Welcome to Gun Owners of America's Virginia Reloaded, where we talk about everything in the Commonwealth and beyond. I just want to say that we are broadcasting to multiple places now, more than just what we were doing. We're broadcasting to Black Fawn Media's Facebook page, the GOA's Virginia Facebook group, the Gorillas and Guns group, the Gorillas and Guns channel, John Crump Live, uh, Crumpy on Periscope, uh, Black Fawn Media's Twitch channel, and D Live. And with that, I want to bring in my co host, and his name is Scott Ayers, also known as Silverback. What is up, Silverback?
Hey, not much, John. Just working on some guns today. That's all I've been doing all day. Just trying to relax and have a Saturday,
Yeah, I know. Sometimes those are hard.
Yep.
And we also have a special guest joining us from VCDL, the man himself, the president, Philip Van Cleve.
Hi,
What's up,
guys.
Phil?
I'm working on guns today. Man, that's tough. That's
Yeah.
horrible, Scott.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that you that's such a tough life there.
I know it's terrible.
Somebody's got to do it.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
Scott's actually going to school to learn to become a gunsmith, right?
Yep.
Okay, I know where to take my guns. He doesn't live that far from me.
No, probably maybe 35, 40 minutes, if that.
Yeah, that's what Scott was telling me. I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. So
Yep.
yeah, so we do something on this show which is called the gun of the day, and I'm going to bring out my gun of the day first because I have it prepared and I forgot to bring up Scott's. So my gun of the day is this. Let me make sure I have it up. I guess I'm not as prepared as I thought I was. It's been one of those days, you know. All right, I got it. Good enough. All right, so let's go ahead and share my screen here. This is the gun that is in my bedroom. Right there. That is my CZ Scorpion with SB tactical brace on the back, and also a Yankee Machine suppressor
Nice.
and a Hollow Sun optic.
Is that 9mm?
That is a 9mm.
that's what I
It
thought.
also has a Franklin Armory binary trigger inside of it as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a beauty.
It is really a beauty. I mean, I love it a lot. It's really fun to shoot. One
Yeah.
thing about the Scorpions is you really do need to do a safety delete on. It could have ambidextrous safety, but
Yep.
the way they designed it is, it rubs against your trigger finger, and by the end of your range day, your fingers can be bleeding.
Oh, wow. That must be a bonus. You paid extra for that, I assume.
No, you actually paid extra to get rid of that.
Okay.
Can't have a little pleasure without some pain, right?
Yeah, so once you get that trigger delete, I also replaced the grip with a grip that I like a lot better than the standard grip. But overall, I mean, the Scorpion is a beautiful, beautiful gun. And with that, let's go ahead. I will show you Scott's gun, of his pick, and surprisingly enough, it just happens to be a Scorpion.
Yep.
Tell
That's
us about
a
this one.
Scorpion Evo 3 with a 4-inch barrel on there, and it's got the Silencer Co. Omega 3, or no, Omega 9 suppressor on it. And I just installed the Franklin binary trigger in there today.
Oh, both you got binary triggers.
Well, Franklin has been really, really good to me. I will say that. I have Franklin triggers in a bunch of my guns. And those guys have hooked me up a lot. Read free. So
I was glad to see that SIG came out with an X model of the P365. So
Mhm.
that's 365 is a tiny gun to begin with
Oh, yeah.
10+1. Now you can put the Romeo Zero red dot. I'm really getting used to red dots. I've really warmed up to those. I've
Yeah.
got several handguns with them on there, and once you get used to it, especially when you get a little bit older and your eyes don't focus quite as well as they used to, red dots are wonderful. And it's
Mhm.
a different experience than a laser. With a laser, it kind of drove me crazy. I felt I was chasing that little dot way out on the target because any motion with a laser is magnified by distance. With a red dot, that's not the case.
Yeah. The thing with the red dots is, at least I found, it took me a little bit of time to get used to them on my handguns, and now I love them.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just
just a different paradigm you have to get used to.
yeah. Do you ever shoot red dots, Scott?
Yeah, I actually got one that I installed on my Canik TP9 SFX.
Yeah, Jason, I've been meaning to get back to you. I've just been so busy, but he said red dots aren't good yeah. Sometimes if you have like eye problems, they're not good, but luckily I'm just I'm I need glasses for distance, and now I just found out I need glasses for reading because I'm getting old,
Yeah.
which kind of sucks. All right, let's get into what VCDL is, and then we have all sorts of topics to cover, including the McFlurry incident. But let's go ahead and get into what VCDL is first.
All right. VCDL is a gun rights organization that's focused on Virginia. We don't tend to focus anywhere else, and we focus only on guns. We were formed in October of 1994 because back in that era, to get a concealed carry permit, it was totally up to a judge. He could turn you down for any reason, and they could keep your $50 too. And we decided that we had enough of that. It's bad enough that you're begging for what should be a right anyhow. So we got the law changed first year right out of the box. We got what we have now, which is shall issue, where you have the government has to show why you shouldn't have a gun. You don't have to show why you should, or a permit to carry it. So, and we've been responsible for a lot of the great gun bills that have passed over time. Like we had preemption for so many years, wiped out all local gun control. Now part of that's been rolled back, but we'll just go back and roll it back the other way if we can get gun owners out and get these elections turned around.
Yeah, VCDL was crucial in getting rid of one handgun a month, which is now back. But VCDL has done tons of good in the States. And you do work closely with GOA.
Yes, we always have. From the very, very beginning, we worked very closely with GOA.
Yeah, it's a little known secret that I think it was MV VCDL.
Right, the Northern Virginia Citizens Defense League. That originally started as 30 people up in Northern Virginia and quickly expanded. We got 35,000 now.
Yeah, I was talking to Val the other day, Val Fennell, and
Yeah, he was our first president.
yeah, he was talking about how he found out about the Northern Virginia Citizens Defense League because he was standing in line for a permit in Fairfax, and someone handed him a flyer, and he's like, "Hey, let me go check these guys out." Now,
Yeah, in my case, I went. I had gotten my permit. I wasn't a member yet. Didn't even know they existed. I got my permit right off the bat. I was one of those people that rushed in right away as soon as it was available in July of 1995, and it ended up, as the General Assembly is approaching. I live in the Richmond area, so I thought, I need to go down there and do something to protect this right. Because I was reading a lot of gun magazines trying to figure out what gun to get to carry concealed and all that. And I was caught up on how we've been lied to by the government, by the press, by everybody about our rights. So I went down as a one-man team
they don't
to
do that, do
to
they?
do something. And I ran right into NVCDL. And that was a marriage made in heaven. Most of them were in Northern Virginia. I was in Richmond. I could get to the General Assembly in 20 minutes. They couldn't even fantasize about doing that.
Yeah, getting down to the General Assembly, which I do several times a year, is kind of hard. It's very hard, actually, for me at least. But we do it, and we uh, we have to because that's our rights. I've been looking around the country, and not a lot, but there are certain state groups that don't like working with the national groups. Why do you think that is? I mean, most of them do, but there are certain ones that don't.
Well,
And
I know some of them have, I guess they felt they'd gotten burned by some of the national organizations. We certainly had some problems in the early days with the NRA. We communicate with them, but they wouldn't communicate with us. So we weren't able to stay coordinated in any way, shape, or form, and that caused some real problems. And once they realized that we weren't going away and that we were becoming a real force in the General Assembly, things changed. But GOA, GOA's been, we've been friends with GOA, like I say, from the very, very beginning, early days when we were forming. So I don't know why, but national groups are important, and we're all a team. We're all a family. We all need to work together. This is not this is a battle for rights that affects all of us from one end of the country to the other, and we're all brothers and sisters in this.
yeah, I think that's the philosophy we all need to take, whether we're a national group or a local group. And if we work together, we can be a force multiplier. You don't see Bloomberg Bloomberg's groups like Moms Demand Action and Every Town Feeding with Giffords and Brady. You just don't see it. They all work
No,
together.
they're all employees.
Well, that's true.
Mhm.
That is definitely true. Okay, I want to talk about a little bit of legislation in Virginia, and Scott, feel free to jump in at any time. A little bit
Mhm.
of legislation in Virginia that was actually defeated. One of the big things that was defeated was the uh, so-called ghost gun bill.
Hmm.
Uh, they pushed hard for that, and it died. And I think it died a lot due to advocacy and advocates on the ground, grassroots advocates pushing back against this, and they just let them know how dumb it was.
Well, even going back to last year, I mean, last year, even there, the Democrats put in at least 60 gun bills to take away our rights in one shape or another. 60 of them. And
Mhm.
I was like, wow. And they were going hog wild. And they were talking about gun bans. I mean, actually confiscating guns. I mean, the governor was talking about there was a bill to do that. They were going for the whole enchilada all across the board. And that massive lobby day we did. Some people said, well, we still got gun control. Oh, let me tell you, we got nothing like what was coming our way. It was like a tidal wave was coming at us. By the time it got to the beach, it just kind of rolled over our feet. And that was thanks to gun owners and the massive turnout. It really did work. We had nothing going for us. The Democrats controlled everything. The Republicans couldn't stop anything they wanted to do. The Democrats could do it all. And they were trying to go for the whole enchilada, and they saw that turnout for all of that stuff. And this year is the same thing. In fact, this year we had 60 gun bills, anti-gun bills last year.
Yeah.
This year we had 11, and those were nothing near the magnitude. Although the closest, the one they were really hoping to squeeze through, was the quote-unquote ghost gun, which is really a homemade gun. They have to come up with an evil name. You got to villainize gun owners and anything we've got to justify that we're less human and you can take away our rights and it's okay. So they come up with ghost guns. They come up with assault weapons. They're good at packaging air and make you think that it's really cool because it's got a nice package around it. But that's all they got. They don't have logic. They don't have reason. They don't have the Constitution on their side. But people turning out, yeah, that ghost, the homemade gun bill went down. It went down in a conference committee. I don't think they wanted this bill at all. They were trying to satisfy Uncle Bloomberg. And so, oh, look, we put the bill in, but darn it, we just couldn't quite work out the kinks. So we had to kill it. No, there's an election year in Virginia. This is a major election year coming up. November 2nd, we get to elect the whole House of delegates. We get to elect a new governor, a lieutenant governor, and attorney general. This is major. And if we don't turn out, 2022 will not be a good year for us. But if we turn out, we can start to turn this ship around and start to bring some sanity back to our gun laws and to our country.
Yeah, the ghost gun bill in the Senate, the version that the Senate passed was laughable because it basically said we're passing this, but it has to pass again next year.
Hmm. Hmm.
What was the point of that?
They were trying to put this off. They what it was a hedge. If they figured if they put it off till next year and the elections didn't go well, then it would die. But if the elections went their way, then they'd feel like they have the political clout to go ahead and pass it. But it got them to put the ball off now. Let's not do this during an election year. They want gun owners to go back to sleep. They want us sleeping soundly and thinking, oh, November 2nd, I'm too busy to vote. Oh, to heck with it. Voting doesn't work anyhow. That's what they want. They want us all to be basically think that, our votes don't count. Let's just stay home. And if you're thinking that, if you're thinking I'm not going to vote because it doesn't matter, they'll love you. You've drank the Kool-Aid. You're now going to make their job so much easier to get reelected and strip away our rights. So we need to vote. We need to get the right people in office. And
do you think that's why they didn't reintroduce the so-called assault weapons ban or assault gun ban, whatever they called it? Can't remember what they called it.
Yeah, they didn't bring it back this year. They didn't even attempt to bring it back this year.
Because
that's yes. Oh hell yes. They saw that turnout. I mean, who could miss 50,000 people? They'd never had that many around the General Assembly. 105,000 at least turning out in all these sleepy little towns. 4,000 at a time in some of these localities that they were lucky to get 50 on an extremely unusually busy night. 4,000 people. No, heads were popping, eyes were popping out. You had congressmen saying, well, the governor could call in the National Guard. Call in the National Guard against the most wonderful people this state has, our gun owners.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were frightened. We definitely had their attention. Now they don't want to make it sound like that. Again, they want to demoralize us. I refuse to give into that, and you guys better not be doing it either out there listening to this. We've got a lot going for us, and we've got to keep pushing back. They wouldn't have backed off if they weren't frightened of this.
Our listeners and our watchers are some of the most hardcore gun people out there. They're all no compromise, so I doubt any of them are going to get demoralized.
That's right. Good. That's exactly the kind of people we need.
You know what Rocky said, right? It doesn't matter how hard you hit; it's how hard you can get a hit and get back up and keep on moving forward.
Yep.
And that we took a hard hit a couple years ago, but we got back up and we're moving forward. And now I think we're going to take back ground. I think the next election is going to show.
Yeah, and I'll start with this preemption thing. The first thing I'd want to do is get in there and put preemption back, and have all those 11 or 12 localities have to take down their no gun signs.
Yeah, Roanoke City just passed it, and we actually had Maynard Keller and Matt Ballard on last week, who both spoke at the Roanoke City, I guess, board meeting or city council meeting against it. They both were on the show last week, and it passed. But you guys are suing over preemption, and in Winchester, are you going to?
We haven't announced anything yet, but yeah, we may have multiple balls in the air on this. We're not standing still. It just takes time to get certain things rolling.
You put something out that about Winchester.
I did.
Yeah, I don't have any inside knowledge. I'm just saying.
Yeah, we were asking if anybody out there worked downtown Winchester or lived there that might be interested in being part of a lawsuit. Yeah.
You can join VCDL by going to vcdl.org, right?
Yes. Yep. We got a new website that'll be coming up pretty soon too.
Oh,
that's totally upgrading. Yeah.
So you live next to Scott.
Sort of. We're on the opposite end of a city.
Pretty close.
I would worry about Scott showing up at my house a lot.
The bad thing is I have his phone number too.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I haven't driven up to Northern Virginia in a little bit. I used to go up there, every month at a minimum to do the meetings up there.
Yeah.
This COVID thing, and we'll probably go back to that once things go back to somewhat normal. But probably a different location. We used to do it in the government center up there. We're not going to do it there anymore. I'd be darned if I'm going to tell our members, oh, if you come to the meeting, you have to leave your guns in the car. And that's not happening. No way.
No, that's not happening. I'm sure that you guys can find another place that is
Oh,
not
yeah, we'll find
so
something.
draconian with their laws and registrations and stuff.
Yeah,
like
none
that.
of us want to be in a gun-free zone and end up getting massacred. So no, thank
That's
you.
right.
No, talking about that, they're in Vienna. I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but at Vienna Arsenal, some guy met some guy who was selling something, and so they met up at Vienna Arsenal, and the guy tried to rob the dude that was selling something. If you're meeting someone at the gun shop, they're probably going to be armed.
Mhm.
Yes. If you're buying a gun, don't assume that's the only gun they have.
Well, apparently this guy did, and he got held at gunpoint until the police came and arrested him.
Yeah. He ran off with it, and the owner chased him down and took him back into the arsenal and held him till the police got there. Come to find out, he was actually a 16-year-old kid with false information. 16-year-old kid from Maryland, of all places.
Oh, I'm shocked. Really? Yeah, Maryland. That's in DC. All these places where it's hard to get a permit, hard to carry a gun at all. But it didn't work. Came down here, and a 16-year-old. That's and I'm sure it wasn't to go target shooting. I'm sure that wasn't the reason he was buying that.
No, it's kind of ridiculous that he tried to steal a gun. It's like you said, there's no way that was going to be the only gun that the guy had.
Right.
No way.
He just held him and he got arrested. Criminals are dumb, man.
They are. They're usually not dumb about armed citizens, though. They will. I mean, they would much rather run into a cop than an armed citizen, because if you've just done something to an armed citizen, that's personal. And the criminal's not really sure how well you know about the rules of engagement, where the police know it a little bit better. So they really don't like to see an armed citizen.
Mm-hmm.
No, they don't. That's why mass shootings where there's guns that usually don't end up good for the person trying to perpetrate the mass shooting.
No, it happened recently at was the gun store down in Louisiana. But then again, in Fairfax County, some idiot some years ago walked into the Fairfax County police parking lot, and started shooting up that. I think he killed one or two police officers, and then he looked like Swiss cheese. And that's kind of what happened in Louisiana.
Yep.
Well, you can't stop every possible case from at least one or two people being killed because of an ambush. But if you've got an armed populace around, that's when it's pretty much over at that point. You may get one or two, and then that's going to be the end of you.
Yeah, that is going to be the end of you. And I think if more people were armed, we would have a safer society.
Yeah, we'd have more responsible people out there. I think one of the things gun ownership does tend to, there's always exceptions of the rule, but really when I look at gun owners around Virginia, it's a thing of where owning a gun, it's a sense of responsibility. And for some people growing up, that may be their first strong sense of something that gives them responsibility in their lives, and knowing that, proper handling of a firearm is absolutely critical. So forth.
It also, like for me at least, I'm less likely to get into a confrontation if I'm armed.
Absolutely. Yes.
Because I know what it can escalate to. So usually I'm just like, whatever,
Right. And number two, because you're armed, you're probably more situationally aware. I mean, it's like you carry a gun because you're concerned about your safety. And so consequently, when you've got it on, if there is something going to go down, you want to know about it. Where if you're not armed, you kind of want to do this and say, well, I can't protect myself. So I want to do the ostrich in the sand thing. And see no evil. I don't have to worry about it kind of thing. With a gun owner and you're carrying a gun, you want to know if there's evil out there so you can avoid it if you can in all possible ways. But if you can't, then you want to be prepared. Being caught unaware and being armed doesn't really help you much to be armed if you can't get to your gun quickly because you're not paying attention as to what's going on around you.
Yeah, one of the things that led me into the gun world is not to the advocacy world, is when I saw a politician tell a woman who was raped, I was in the guns, but I wasn't really an advocate. And out in Colorado, the woman was raped, and she said, if I had a gun, I might have been able to prevent it. And the politician looked at her and goes, "Honey, if you had a gun, he could have taken it away and done and killed you." And at that point, right there, it's like, all right, I got to fight for this woman's
Yeah,
right and everyone
this is
else's right.
ridiculous. Yeah,
It
they
just
love to throw that out.
incensed me so much that he said he had the gall to say that. That I was like, all right, I'm a gun owner. I like guns, and yeah, I'm a member of this group and this group. But now I'm active because of that comment.
Yeah, they love to throw that out. And the people that say that are the ones that don't know anything about guns. Those that know something about guns, and like I was in law enforcement for 7 years in Texas, the criminal's not going to take the gun away from you unless there are some conditions, but they don't apply to citizens generally. Those conditions are, one, that you're wrestling with these guys or you've cornered them one way or the other. Now you got a desperate criminal. He's within reach of the gun. He may think he's got nothing to lose at that point. And therefore, he may try to take your gun away because he feels he's got nothing to lose. On the other hand, if you pull a gun and the guy runs and you let him run, he's not going to come back and try to get your gun. If he's got a way out, he's going to go, unless he's high on drugs. It's pretty rare. It's only 1 in 10 you'd have to actually shoot the guy. So, but a cop, having been a deputy sheriff, I swore an oath. So if that guy had come up and pointed a gun at me and I drew mine and he ran, I swore an oath. I've got to chase that guy down. I've got to capture him and I've got to bring him to justice. Once you get into that mode, that changes everything. Now there is a chance your gun could be ripped away from you and used against you. This is why when I teach classes, I point out that, the magazine safety is very useful to police, but it's really not that useful to a regular gun owner. I mean, in a situation where I'm changing magazines, I'd like to think that if I have a round in the gun, I can still use it. For a police officer, that dropping the mag is a neat way to disable your gun if you think you're about to lose it. The guy's just about to rip it out of your hand. You get that last punch in, drop the magazine. Now, all he can do is beat you to death with the gun. He can't shoot you with it.
Yeah, that is definitely correct. That is definitely correct, but they push all these false narratives, and it amazes me that people still buy them. I think it's just because they're bombarded and bombarded over and over and over again by the media, by the legacy media, that they believe it.
And then they start to repeat it because they heard it over and over and over. Well, this must be true. So they repeat it, and then it just continues to spread. Look, the other side loves confusing people. They don't mind lying to us. I don't know if you remember after the assault weapon ban that Clinton did, and of course he lost both bodies of Congress right after that. It was so popular that the gun control crowd was proud that, oh yeah, people were confused. They did think that we were talking about machine guns. Oh well, they were proud of that deception. They were counting on that deception.
Yeah,
that people really didn't know.
There were some internal emails leaked back then by, I think it was the Brady campaign, and they were talking about confusing people on purpose.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, there's no morals on that side that I've ever run into, unless it's by accident. But they don't even believe their own baloney. A classic example I give is here in Richmond. Some years back, there was a gun bill that came up in the General Assembly and committee. So I went in and spoke against it, and somebody else, the other side, was there speaking for the gun control bill. And I ended up, our side won. The gun control bill died. So in that committee hearing, one of the gun controllers got up there and he said, well, these concealed carry people, if you bump shopping carts with them, they'd pull out their gun and shoot you right there. You can't trust these people. You can't, blah, 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 how dangerous we were. Well, after that bill was killed, I went out in the hall and he comes charging out. I'm carrying a gun, okay? He comes charging out, tears in his eyes, says, you're going to get children killed. I said, no, we just saved children. And he was just inflamed. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, wait a minute. I'm the guy, if you bump my shopping cart, I'm going to shoot you. And you're out here yelling in my face and threatening me. You really don't believe what you said.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when there was a big debate in Virginia about whether to allow concealed carry or not. And they said that if we became a shall issue state, that it was going to be like the Wild West and blood was going to be running in the streets. And none of that happened. Actually, the violence went down.
It did. Oh yeah, when we tried to repeal the restaurant ban. Oh, guns and alcohol. Oh, guns and alcohol. There's going to be blood. You're going to get the wrong tip to somebody, or you'll get the wrong meal, and you'll shoot them. All of that stuff. It's been dead quiet. It's been real quiet. Nothing went the way they said at all. Nothing. Never got an apology either.
Virginia is one of the safest states in the country.
Well, they're working. The Democrats are working on that right now.
Yeah, they're trying to change it around.
Yeah.
But right now, it's one of the safest states in the country, and it's gotten safer with less gun laws. Every time they introduce a gun law, it gets more dangerous.
Well, let me tell you one more thing about this hypocrisy, the lies. Another lie we're hearing a lot now is, oh, we're intimidated by those gun people. Oh, I'm intimidated. I'm afraid to go speak to the General Assembly. I'm afraid to go places because they're carrying guns. The people that are saying that, I can tell you one lady, and several of them, they're saying that. I'm sitting there going, what are you saying? These people would come into our table area at up in when we did the stepping out event in Blacksburg. One lady came in and she tried to block the booth. She was so frightened of us. We're all carrying guns. Oh, she tried to block the booth. Others came in and antagonized people in there. One stood out in front of the booth one year holding a poster of a dead child that had been shot by a gun. And this is a family event, and she didn't care. She was standing there right in front of our booth and harassing people coming. Oh, she was so frightened of us.
Very intimidated.
Very intimidated. That is such a crock when I hear them say that. They are lying through their teeth. They are not intimidated. They know we're the good guys, but that they don't want to accept that. They really think that everybody's like them. Everybody's got that vicious temper that most of them have. No, we don't.
Oh, but you can talk a criminal down from doing what they're doing. You don't need a gun. You just talk to them.
No joke. Well, I was talking to one of the people high up in Moms Demand Action. No joke. And okay, I don't know if you know, Phil, but when I was a baby, I was like less than a year old. My mom was home. I'm not going to rehash the same story because everyone out there's probably heard it. But my mom was home with me and my 4 sisters. And a home invader broke in, and she had a little Saturday Night Special, a little 38 revolver, and she was able to defuse the situation because the guy refused to leave. And she's like, "Yeah, if you take one more step towards me, he had a knife too. I'm gonna shoot you." And he said, "No, you won't." Took one step, and my mom's like, "Bye." So I told that story. I was like, that's why I'm pro-gun, is because my mom used it to defend my life, her life, my life, and the life of my sisters. And her response was, no joke, was, well, maybe if your mom didn't have a gun, she could have found out about his situation and why he was there.
What? She's now a therapist?
I was like,
here, lay down on the sofa. Let's talk about your childhood and see why you're in here. Yeah,
what? A guy breaks in to a woman's house who's there with 5 kids with a knife, and you want her to say, tell me about your feelings?
Yeah, he needs a pat on the back and a big hug and a little there, it's
Do
okay.
you really think that was gonna work? Are you
I
that
would.
delusional?
I wouldn't wish evil on her, but I would love to see what she would have done if she would have went home that night and somebody came in her house with a gun and wouldn't let her call the police on the cell phone. I wonder what she would have done.
No, I was like, are you really that delusional?
I guess
I just couldn't get it. I mean, I just don't get how delusional you
they
can
don't
be
know
that
what she just doesn't know what she's talking about.
Mhm.
You know, the truth is, and sometimes anybody can fall for this. You picture how something would be, how a crime would go down, how the guy that breaks in your house is really just a poor lost soul. He just needs somebody to hold him and hug him and tell him you care about him, and he'll be fine. It's that evil gun he's holding that's made him do this anyhow. If you can get rid of the guns, they don't know anything about the law of the jungle. You know, if you could snap your fingers, you'd have the law of the jungle. A 6'5" male is going to have his way with a 5'2", 110-pound female any day of the week with no guns involved. Matter of fact, especially if there aren't guns involved in the case of the 5'2" female.
Knife Staff says a YouTuber called Freedom Inc. had a Zoom meeting with a MDA Moms Demand Action, and one of the women said she was an NRA member. Well, let me give you a little hint. I've actually read some of their advocacy books, and one of the things that they preach is if you get cornered by a gun owner, just tell them that you're an NRA member. That's actually in the book. So I guarantee you that's what happened.
Well, you should have said, well, I'm a Moms Demand Action member.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah, I
one
got
good
their
lie deserves another. I'm a Moms Demand Action member, but I don't understand why we need all this gun control. I don't understand. You know, and basically, Moms Demand Action got their hats handed to them this session too. One of the senators said, you know, the Moms Demand Action is always talks about sensible gun control. Well, I don't think this is sensible. Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't the General Assembly. This was in Loudon County where they got
out
it.
Loudoun County. That
With
was
Loudon County.
Phyllis Randall, who's actually a member of Moms Demand Action, did that.
Yeah, said I believe they're right about sensible gun laws, but banning guns in parks isn't sensible.
Yeah, that was she broke from them, and she really pissed them off by.
Oh, I'll bet they can't stand anything that goes against the, you know, I'm surprised they didn't put her in a gulag.
Well, those guys have marching orders, and if you violate those marching orders, I was on NPR with a mom. It was supposed to be talking about activism, and I was like, yeah, they're trying to set me up. So they had a Moms Demand Action person on there, an anti-gun reporter, and they were trying to like talk all this like BS. And people order guns online and they get them shipped directly to the house. I'm like, no, they do not. I was like, that is a total lie. And he's like,
Yeah.
well, can you prove that it doesn't happen in any case? I was like, can you, if so, I was like, so you want me to prove that no
The
one's ever had
negative.
a gun shipped to them? It's like, okay, can you prove that you're not a space lizard? And the guy was like, what? It's like, can you prove that you're not a space lizard? Because if you can't prove that you're not a space lizard, then you're not a space lizard.
You can say, can you prove you're not a Nazi?
Yeah,
Prove it.
That's one of the techniques they use.
Yes.
And I think that we need to organize some type of classes or something needs to be done where people can learn about their techniques and stuff like that.
I probably should write something up, maybe do an article on that.
Yeah,
and post it. I think that'd be a good idea. What they do and what they say and what they really believe.
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah, I think maybe I will, because I think a lot of their tactics. Once you understand them, then you know how to deal with them.
Yeah, once you understand it, it's easy. It's like, all right, this. I can argue with somebody, one of the Moms Demand Action people, and I could say, okay, you can go sit over there. I'll argue your points too, because I know exactly what you're gonna say, because you guys have like a freaking script.
Talking point. Yes. I'm surprised. I am surprised, John, that they actually got. I know they figured it was a fair fight because it was 2-1, right? But yeah, they underestimated you. But
a lot of people do. Ask Foak. in Pennsylvania.
But I'm surprised that they actually did that, because I've seen them chicken out over and over again in things where I know I was involved in. It was like in fact, one time I was going to be part of a panel like that, and the guy says, "Okay, I'm trying to get somebody on the other side," and they kept backing out, backing out. I said, "Let me give you one piece of advice. They're going to want to know who's going to be in the room, what every single question is going to be, and everything else." I said, "They're going to want to control everything."
Well,
And he called me and he said, "You're right. It's exactly what they want." They finally got somebody to come on, and she was horrible, but wanted to control it all.
well, this is the thing. I was supposed to be talking about like grassroots advocacy. It wasn't about guns. It was about grassroots advocacy. And then when I showed up for this interview, like, oh, here's all the anti-gun people. Oh, too bad I didn't prepare, and I have all my notes right here because I kind of expected this was going to happen.
They wouldn't have lied to you, would they, John?
I was pretty sure they were.
Oh, okay.
But I'm about to do it, so I was like, yeah, but GOA asked me to do it. I was like, yeah, I'll do it, but I'm going to prepare just in case. And they were like, what is that? I was like, oh, my notes. They're like, notes on what? The stuff that you're going to try to fool people with, and here's all my statistics and my sources and everything else. I hope you have yours.
Yeah, statistics. That's another one. Just stuff comes flying out of the air from them. Oh, well, 90% of NRA members want universal background checks. How do you even know? NRA doesn't say who their members are. How did you survey or poll people that you can't get a hold of?
Yeah, Pew Pew Clan probably heard my going back and forth with the president of FOAC, Firearm Owners Against Crime, that like the VCDL of Pennsylvania, but they're not very. Basically, he was talking about how we need to get rid of ghost guns.
Oh,
and
yeah.
need a paper trail on ghost guns, and it's just like, hey, you're doing that talking points. But yeah, he thought he was gonna do good, and he didn't do good. And now everyone knows.
Well, and they never learn. Every time they want to say, we need to ban guns, so we're going to put these bills in. Then millions of guns are sold. In my case, Clinton told me that I couldn't have an AK-47 or an AR-15. During the assault weapon ban, right? Mm-hmm. And I never had any interest much in rifles. I liked handguns. So I went out and bought a bunch of AKs and AR-15s because he said I shouldn't have one. So that was another example how that backfires on them every single time that they say you shouldn't do something. Now I want to buy one of these 80% receivers. I've never had any real interest in it, but now I want to buy one because they're saying I shouldn't have one.
Either did I. Now I got a CNC machine, and I have like four 80% like ARs, and I have 6 80% handguns.
Wow, I don't have any. I'm going to have to do it. I mean, I'm just sitting here going, they're daring me to do this. So I guess.
I mean, if they wouldn't have tried to start demonizing them, I wouldn't have any.
I know. And we've got 8 million new gun owners. Why do you think that is?
Okay, here's my question. If doing that keeps on getting the same results, and the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, are they insane?
Well, I think one could argue that people that believe in gun control the way these people do, not just a little bit fringe stuff, but I mean the big time gun control, there may well be some mental issues there. In fact, I'm certain there are anger issues for sure. Mm-hmm. I have met so many of them have severe anger issues. And so, yeah, I think gun controllers, one could argue that they may have some mental incapacities there.
I also think they're a bunch of racists.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, gun control's roots are in racism. Absolutely. You know who's going to get hit the hardest by gun control. It's not going to be people like me or like you guys. It's going to be the poor Black people and other poor minorities that have to live in a neighborhood. You and I can choose to live in neighborhoods that are not crime zones. People that are poor don't. They have to live where they have to live. And yet any kind of gun control hits them the hardest. They were talking about wanting to raise the price of guns. And who's that going to punish? You think I'm not going to be able to buy a gun if you raise the price of it? You put high taxes on it? No, I'll still be able to buy it. But you've just knocked out the people in the poor areas. And where was it? Loudon. Loudon, it was a black supervisor that was saying, yeah, maybe we need to figure out a way in Loudon to raise the cost on concealed handgun permits. And I'm going, who do you think that's going to affect? Who are you trying to take guns away from? I think it's very much racist, and I don't care what color they are. Anybody can be a racist, even against your own race, if you figure that you're exempt from what you're doing. I don't know how else to put it.
Well,
but it happens all the time.
During the summer session a couple years ago, when there was a lobby day in like July, Devin, my friend who happens to be black, was with me. And this is right after the Northam blackface incident came out. So he was standing holding a sign of Northam and blackface. And he was standing in between me and a couple of my other friends who were gun people. And this Moms Demand Action person came up to him and was like, "You're so brave to be standing here with that sign around these guys to show them what they are." And Devin goes, "What?" She's like, "Your sign, standing in front of these racists, you know." And I looked at Devin. I was like, "Devin, I think she thinks you're on her side." On her side, and Devin goes, "That's the governor in the picture."
I remember when that happened. Like he came out and apologized for it and everything else, but then like an hour later, he sends an email into the channel and says, "Oh no, that wasn't me in those photos."
Then he tried to say, "Oh, maybe it was me. Maybe I was dressing up as Michael Jackson for Halloween or something." Like that.
He wasn't sure which one he was in the photograph or something.
That's right. Yep.
How many times do you have to wear? How many times do you have to wear blackface and dress up as a Ku Klux Klan member before you don't remember which one you were? You know how many times I've dressed in blackface or wore a Ku Klux Klan outfit? Zero.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I mean, if you'd only done it a few times, you would definitely remember. But if you do it all the time, then you know, gee, it's like, which gun were you wearing? Which gun did you have on May 6th of last year? I don't know. Right. It could have been any one of 10 guns. I don't know. But if I only had one gun or I only had carried twice in my life, I could probably tell you what gun it was.
Yeah. So what was his nickname in college again?
Coon Man.
Right. And why do you think they called him that?
Yeah, well, the whole thing. If he had been a Republican, he would have been so pounded. They would still be pounding him every day. But you notice it all went away, basically. It all just faded away. Press kind of forgot about it all. All three of our top guys had something going for them. We had two guys in blackface.
And a rapist.
Right?
Two guys in blackface and a rapist.
Yeah. And an accused one.
Alleged rapist.
Yes, but however, one that they didn't want to let the women, the accusers, speak in front of the General Assembly. So I thought that was interesting. Wouldn't be a cover-up or anything. We know that wouldn't be the case. So,
yeah, I remember when that happened. There was a local Democrat member of the party who's a volunteer, who's a Justin Fairfax volunteer, who's always like, believe women. So I started tweeting her, believe women with these articles about the whole rape thing. And then she blocked me on Twitter.
Oh, well, of course. She did not have a retort to that. And that's what you see with gun controllers in general. If they don't have an answer, then they try to shut you up.
Yep.
I have no interest in shutting them up. They're free to say whatever they want. I've never tried to interfere with them. But boy, you saw what they've done the last couple of years of VCDL. I mean, the dirty tricks with keeping us from getting our spot at the bell tower and all that stuff. They're trying to get us off Facebook and all that. It's all dirty tricks.
Yeah, they're very good at it.
That's
especially
all they got.
when the state government works with them too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. We looked at some emails that we had Freedom of Information Acts on, looking at things that were how they're working together on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, did I ever send you the all the Freedom of Information Acts that I did? Actually, open records request from Virginia between Giffords and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
governor.
I've seen some of that
Okay,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, they're
I'm making
yeah
sure
they're
that I thought I sent them to you, but
they're
I'm
in
wasn't
bed
sure.
together. And they and again the hypocrites on the other side at one point were accusing the NRA of having an office. Well, I don't know if it was with Bush or whatever they were claiming, and here they are actually doing it with our governor, and that's okay because they're the rules never apply to them.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the rules never apply to them. I wanted to touch on the filibuster a little bit. We're almost out of time, but I really wanted to get to the filibuster because Dianne Feinstein was talking that they should tweak the filibuster rules so they should be able to pass gun control. Gun bills should not be blocked by the filibuster.
Yeah, yeah. That's only if they can't come to a good bipartisan, decision. So basically, if they can't get things their way, then it should be no way.
Yeah, they're going to get their way no matter what. Yeah.
Right.
So, and and by the way, it was the Democrats that started the filibuster. I mean, that system was set up by the Democrats because they were trying to keep slavery going. So it's ironic now, all these years later, they still like controlling people, but now suddenly the filibuster is inconvenient for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As soon as it works against them, that's when they don't want it.
That's right. Now it's evil and everything else, but if sudden things were to turn around, oh, we need the filibuster. That's how we keep things fair and balanced. Yeah, they really are pushing on the gun control. I don't, they're and they this has really come on strong in just the last few years. It's like basically Soros and Bloomberg and all these one world people have decided that it's time to get moving on one world order and that the United States is holding it up and gun owners are holding up the United States. So therefore we've got to do something about gun owners. Then we have dominance and domain over everybody. All we can do is throw rocks at them as they take away everything we've got. That's where we are. They're getting impatient with us. And we're just going to have to say, the rest of the world, I can't help you, but you stay out, you stay away from our rights in America.
Yeah, we gotta push back against that crap, like right away.
And I talk to a lot of different people, and I don't know anybody that doesn't think the world is crazy right now. I haven't met any. I know they're out there, but I have yet to run into one where they go, yeah, everything is normal, and this is kind of, I'm happy. This is the way life should be. I know they're out there, but I think what happens is you got the press putting magnifying glasses over them. You got bots coming along acting like these people on the internet. I don't know how many of them are really out there that don't really look at the world right now and say, this is screwed up.
I know, I do. Okay, hold on. Third week asking, I'm so sorry. FOIA turnaround time. Only 2 of the more than 11 requested clarification, 11 weeks out, none received, none tier. Brought up for okay. Uh hit I know this is gonna sound like blowing you off, but it's not. Because it depends. Different agencies have different turnaround times, and if it's the ATF, I can get you some contacts over there that might get to push them through. So email me at john.crump@gunowners.org. I will help you out, but it depends on what you're foreigning, who you're foreigning. Even inside the ATF, it depends on where you go. And a lot of times they won't respond to you unless you like threaten to sue or you actually do so. Uh, I work with the Olsons and like Rob Olson and another lawyer named Steven Stamboli, and they were still. I think you know the Olsons.
Yes.
Yeah, every time I have a FOIA issue, those are the guys that
Those are
usually.
great guys.
Those are the guys I sick after them, and they will get it done.
Yes, they
But
will.
contact me. I'll see what I can do. Maybe help you out a little bit and see what it is. I'm not an attorney. I am a activist only, but I have attorneys. Yeah, the Olsons are really great people.
Oh yeah, they very much believe in what we're doing.
Oh yeah, I mean that's why I use Rob and those guys to go after my FOIA request, and they are very they're I don't they're like pit bulls when it comes to that type of stuff.
Yeah, and we've used them quite a bit, and we're going to be using them some more here shortly.
You want to give us a hint?
Well, we talked a little bit. I think we're going to be we got some lawsuits we're going to get ready to start doing. There'll probably be more than one.
All right, I won't press you on that because we like to have those as I know how it works. We like to have those as surprises. We don't want them to know that they're coming.
Yeah, or what we're going to be saying in them and all that stuff. But and it's frustrating too, because you'd like to be able to tell your members what's going on some of these things, but there's just a lot of things I can't tell anybody about, at least not for some period of time.
Yeah, because you don't want people sometimes get frustrated when you don't tell them stuff, but a lot of times it's you can't. It's like legal stuff, and it's kind of hard to keep that stuff to yourself, but sometimes you got to play your cards very close to the chest.
That's right.
Loose lips sink ships, I guess you can say.
Yeah. There's not much to be gained by giving a game plan away ahead of time.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
You want to make sure they have the least amount of time possible to respond.
Yeah.
So there's a question over on my channel from Warsaw Patriot. He says, it's funny how the Democrats are all for equality, yet they want to discriminate gun owners through the abuse of power of law. So do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Absolutely.
That's not even
true words were never spoken.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, they discriminate against us constantly.
Mm-hmm.
They want to give, I tell you what, they gave voting rights back to 65,000 felons.
So why not give them gun rights?
I don't think they gave them back their gun rights.
No.
You trust them to vote, but you don't trust them to carry a gun? That's odd.
Some people would say that voting's a more dangerous power to have than
I think it is.
Didn't they always say the pen is mightier than the sword?
Yeah, the guy that wrote that didn't have a sword.
I think the whole saying is with the pen, you can do a lot with propaganda and
right,
and like actual news and stuff like that.
That pen can sign the most ridiculous laws into existence, which can hurt more people than a sword can. Is basically what they're saying by that.
Sure.
Yeah, I remember Barack Obama had a pen and a phone.
Yes. And I'm sure that Biden does.
Well, Biden's been signing a lot of executive orders.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he knows what they say, but I think they're just telling him to sign here.
But he's such a hypocrite on that, because it wasn't that long ago he was getting after Trump. Oh, that's not the way government should be run. You shouldn't be doing this stuff. Then he turns around and does the exact same thing over and over again. It's all hypocrisy. It's all lies. It just goes on, guys. And that's why we can never back down. We can never relax.
Well, last thing, then we get out of here. When I say he doesn't know what he's signing, there's actual evidence of that. There is a video out there, and you can find it on YouTube, where he goes to sign something, and he goes, "I don't know what I'm signing," and they look at him and go, "Just sign it," and he goes, "Okay," and he signs it. Like. It's like, wow.
He's on the end of those strings.
Yes.
Okay. Question for you, Gorillas and Guns. You want to read it?
Could the large number of first time gun buyers, some of whom were lefties, in a moment of clarity have a positive effect lobby wise.
I hope, but you got to remember, just because they bought a gun does not mean that they're pro gun.
Right.
It's our job as advocates to nurture them and to turn them into pro gun people.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. We have to help educate them and get them past the lies that they've been told.
yeah, you have to turn that around. And I think what they'll learn is if they go to a shooting range is how accepting everybody is, regardless of their politics. LGBTQ, there was a guy that was just amazed. He thought he was going to just be go through hell when he went to a shooting range. He said those were the nicest people I've ever met. They were all
Mhm.
very welcoming of me to teach me, showed me the ropes on shooting and everything. So everybody was wonderful.
Right.
And that's the those on the left that didn't like guns before think they're going to be amazed if they have an opportunity at all to get into the true gun culture in America. I think they're going to be amazed.
I know we said that was going to be the last thing, but people are asking about the McFlurrys. That's
Yeah.
in the title. All right. So this actually happened in West Virginia, but I thought it was kind of ridiculous. All right. So a customer buys McFlurry. It's not that they want their money back because the Oreos aren't mixed the right way. I
Hmm.
have no idea what that means. So they threaten the McDonald's employee. Uh, and so the McDonald's employee pulled out a gun and called the police. But they arrested the McDonald's employee for brandishing.
Right. On a misdemeanor charge. So
Yeah.
likely they're not going to charge her with this stuff. I believe what's going to happen now is they're just going to leave it up to McDonald's to find out what their policy is on
Yeah.
employees having firearms on premises while they're at work.
Yeah. She's probably going to get fired. But the guy threatened her. So she pulled a gun.
Right. Well, she kept it at her waist. She never like
Yeah.
pulled it out or did any, whatever. And the customer apparently was getting very irate, was asked to leave and never left.
Yeah.
So, she was just falling back on her instincts. Hey, I'm here just in case. I need to be protected. I need to protect my fellow employees and the other customers in the store. So, hooray for her. I commend her 100% for being ready. Um, and because of West Virginia's laws, they allow open carry, they allow concealed carry, no permits are needed. So that's why I don't believe that they're going to actually charge her with anything. I believe the police will drop it, but like I said, it's up to McDonald's and their policies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. We did not discuss the PA Polymer 80 situation, but before we get out of here, let me just say that uh, Kim Stouffer is going to do a live stream with me. Either I don't know why, uh, but yeah, he's gonna try to clear up the situation. And I think there were some other people from FOAC on, so I'm going to get the answers to the questions that I have, and maybe we'll clear everything up. Maybe they're just being misunderstood. We'll find out. It's gonna be definitely gonna be a fun podcast. It's gonna be at 5 p.m. I don't know, either Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday. I have American Gun Chick and another YouTube or Instagram uh, model slash gun person on as well that day. So it's going to be Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday. You're going to want to tune in for that because that's going to be a lot of fun and maybe we can get some answers. And if you guys have any questions, you can throw them out there too, and we will have them all answered. All right. With that said, this is Virginia Reloaded. My name is John Crump. I'm the Virginia Director of Gun Owners of America. Be sure you check us out on Facebook. It's GOA Virginia. And go to gunowners.org and sign up. And if you really want money off, you can use code black swan dash. Actually, go gunowners.org/black swan media and get 25% off. Or you can use gunowners.org/what is it, Gorillas and Guns?
Yeah. I have a Gorillas and Guns in my descriptions of all my videos. There's a link for my Gorillas and Guns link to GOA membership, but on mine, I'm not saving you any money. I'm asking you to donate $5 extra to the cause.
So if you want to pay $5 extra, you go to Girls and Guns. If you want to save 25%, you go to me. So whichever one you want to do, or you can just go to gunowners.org and sign up there for the regular cost if you can't make up your mind.
That's right.
Like, comment, and subscribe no matter what channel you are on. Give us a thumbs up no matter what channel you are on, or if you're on the YouTube pages or any of the D Lives or Twitches or anywhere. Yeah, we're everywhere. And with that, give Silverback, go do your plugs, and then I'm gonna give the final word to Mr. President of Virginia Citizens Defense League, Philip Van Cleave. All right, Gorilla.
All right. Well,
Gorilla.
obviously, most people know you can find me here on YouTube, especially the people on my channel already watching. And for you people on my channel that are watching, all my subscribers, go head on over to John Crump and make sure you subscribe to him. Go
John
to his
Crump
John
Live and
Crump
John Crump
Live and
News.
John Crump News. And you'll find me with him also doing these Virginia Reloaded podcasts every week.
And they're also available on Apple Podcast and all major podcast platforms, and they come out on Wednesdays.
Right. And you can find me on Facebook at the Gorillas and Guns group on Facebook. Plus, I pop into the Virginia GOA Facebook group from time to time as well. I have Patreon and Gunstreamer.
All right. And Mr. President Philip Van Cleave.
All right, John and Scott, always good seeing you guys. Yeah, for our organization, it's vcdl.org, Virginia Citizens Defense League.org. You can get on our free email alert system. We've got 57,000 people on there right now.
And it's a great resource.
People love it when they get up there. We focus on guns. We don't get off on anything else. And even people from out of state get on there to see what we're doing in Virginia, maybe to get ideas for the state they're in.
And honestly, even being the director of the state of Virginia for GOA, I'm on that email list, and I do use it. And I do actually even pull ideas for these podcasts from there.
Yep.
Along with other places too, but I do. It's great because it's really hard for me to monitor the whole state with only a few volunteers I have, but VCDO has volunteers everywhere. And every week I plug you guys, by the way.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we have, like every locality in Virginia, there's 190 of them. We've got somebody watching that locality for local gun control and stuff.
It's just something that I can't do.
No.
Yeah.
We can't do what you're doing at the federal level either. We can't watch everything going on there. So we focus on the state, and the states are where most of the gun control is anyhow. There's some federal, but it's mostly the states that take away your rights.
You can ask Scott. What I always say is you should join at least one national group and one state group. And the more important group to join is your state group.
Yeah, that's where the work is done. But you need to be in both. It's not that big a deal to be a member of both types of organizations. And subscribe to these lists because you get great ideas and a lot of good company in all these organizations. Do that. Be active in this. We need people to be active. We are literally in a war. This is not a joke. It's not trying to hyperbole. It really is a war for our rights, and it's a serious one.
Most definitely. And VCDL has a English member from England. He's actually watching on my channel right now.
Yeah, there's wonderful people around the world that have joined or watch what we're doing. And we welcome them. In fact, we've got some great members. Some of our strongest members. We got a couple Russian women that are incredible. They know what it's like to live under socialism and communism. And boy, you don't come near their gun rights. They are just absolutely phenomenal. And we got some Brits like that as well that are there that want to protect what they see in America as a jewel.
Yeah, what's really interesting is Scott brings up that he has some English watchers. Some of my viewers, I have a couple of viewers from England who watches me mostly on Twitch. But
Mm.
yeah, they're from England and they watch it because they're interested in gun rights because they wish they had gun rights there.
They should have gun rights there. They did used to have
Uh-huh.
some gun rights.
Yeah. But that said, we are out. We will see you next week, and you can catch the audio only podcast on Wednesday on all major podcast platforms. Thank you, Nick and crew, for being the awesome producers and editors of the show. I don't know why there's a delay. There we go.